Hello,
Hello, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. It's the Mishnah on Sadi Hay 95. It's just you and me tonight, I guess, huh? Because Mario can't make it tonight. Am I clear? Can you hear me? See.
I hear you. I muted. Yes, I hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll start with the Mishnah now. Okay. Misho Yenoshi Shtei Noshim, if he was married to two women, Umochar Sadeu, and he sold his field, V'kosa Rishon L'Lekayach, and the wife he had married first wrote to the buyer, Din Dvorim Eli B'cho, I don't have any claim on you, anything ever, so I have no claim on you anymore. In other words, if something happens, if I don't get, I'm not going to go after you to take it back. So Hasheni Motziyah Malokeach, when he dies, the second wife may take the field from the buyer. And the first one can go back to the second one, and then she can take it from her, because she can't take it from the other guy because she gave up her claim for the lokeach, but she did give up a claim to the second wife.
Right, so, right, got it.
For Rishona min hashniya, and the first wife may then take it from the second wife. For lokeach min harishon, and the buyer may come back and take it from the first wife once she has that. We're talking about one piece of property that the chosros chalila, they go around in circles until they reach a compromise among themselves. And say, so is with the creditor, and so it is with the wife who is her husband's creditors. Okay, the Morris talks about now. The Gemara questions the premise that by writing, I have neither claim nor claim it against you. The first wife relinquishes her rights over the buyer. And if she writes to him, what consequences of what Tanya we learn, if one says or writes to his friend, who is partner in owning the field, I have neither claim nor argument regarding this field. I have no business with it. Or my hand is withdrawn from it. He has nothing to say of legal consequences, and he still owns partial ownership in the field. Thus, we see that the declaration, I have neither claim nor argument, fails to effect the relinquishment of one's rights. So the woman, even though she wrote to the Eli and Valdewara, I have nothing to do with you. It's still she still can come back and claim for. So how does the Mishnah say that she has nothing against the Lokeach? We're dealing with a case where the buyer performed an act of acquisition with the wife. She made a kinyan. That is to formalize her waiver of the lien. The buyer performed an act of khalifin, kinyan suitor with her. The Gemara concluded that this kinyan does not merely corroborate the declaration, but actually effects of relinquishment of one's right. Hence, in our case, if the wife said to the buyer, I neither claim nor argument against you, and they perform a kinyan, her waiver is binding. So the Gemara says, no.
So I have a question. Does she have to do it in writing? Is verbal okay? Or it doesn't even, it looks like here it doesn't matter what she.
So she has to, but as long as there's a kinyan khalifin, if it's verb, that's the main thing. That she actually has to make a kinyan from the wife. In other words, the wife sells it to her.
Oh.
And he sold it. In other words, if there's a kinyan, let's say from the husband, if he made a kinyan with the husband, I think that's what it means. With her.
Okay.
How did he perform? He made it. It says here, he made a kinyan chalipin with her. So therefore, in that case, she relinquishes all her rights to the field, to the mocher. She has no, yeah. So more I have a, and if the buyer did make a quizen, so what is it? Tema nachas ruach asisi. She said, let it. So let's say that she says there is only to please her husband, and that she would whereby nullify the waiver of her lien. Milo tonight, did we learn one bought a property from the husband, and then he bought it from his wife. She consented to the sale, and then Bikocha Batel, his purchase is void. She didn't really mean it, but she said it because she wanted to please her husband. So why in the case of the mission is the wife unable to make the very claim? She can always say, let her say that. I only made it to help my husband, so my husband will be nice, happy with me. So Mayor or Yehuda. There's one mission because it is the mission conflicts with each other. So one part of the mission goes with Mayor, one part goes with Yehuda, who said that Nanya was taught in the mission. If a husband wrote a deed selling a field to the first buyer, and his wife did not sign for him an agreement, but then he wrote a deed selling another field to the second buyer, and his wife did sign for him an agreement. In other words, that she signed an agreement that she won't have any ties against him. Ibra Kasuba, she has lost her Kasuba. There are no free fields from which to collect because she can no longer collect the Kasuba from either of these buyers. So that's Rameir. So Nira Rameir. So Yehuda says, she can, as an excuse, she's able to say, I pleased my husband. Atem malachem alai. What claim do you have against me? Evidently, Rameir and Yehuda disagree about the validity of the claim. But Rabbi, who redacted the Mishnah, Sovar, Stam La Hachi Krabre, we Stam Mishnah, we go like Rameir. Stam Lo Hosam Krabuda, and honestly, in Gittin, we go like Rabbi Yehuda. So let's see what he says here. Our Mishnah rules that her waiver is binding and cannot be revoked a claim that it was provided only to please her husband follows the view of Mayor. The Mishnah Gittin rules that her waiver is void, according with the opinion of Yehuda. Apparently understood the Gemara last sentence as part of his answer. The interprets the question, how could Rabbi rule such? So the Gemara says, we're talking a case where she was divorced, but Divya call, and everybody agrees. Once she gets divorced, we know that she's not doing it to please her husband, because what does she care about her husband? He divorced her, so why should she want to do anything to please him? So that answer, if it's like we divorced her, so that answer of please your husband doesn't fly. Rashi Omar Kula Meir. So all goes according to a Meir. Both the Stam Mishnah and can be interpreted reference even to a case in which he's still married, and yet both follow the opinion of a Meir. Although Meir rules that her consent is genuine, which give credence to her claim that she consented only to please her husband, can nevertheless be reconciled in his view. Let's see here. Okay. Meir did not say there in the Brisa that the wife loses her lien, except when the husband sold to two buyers. In which case the interested parties can say to her, if it's true that you did consent to the sale to please your husband, you should have done it for the first buyer as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, why only the second buyer?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Right. So therefore, it's not to please her husband. It must be because she was willing to sell it, and she okayed for the second.
The second, not the first one.
But not the first one. Yeah. But when the husband sold to one buyer, Afila Bayer, Rabbi agrees that the wife can claim to have consented to the sale only to please her husband. But my season the Kasavol the Acher, and our refer case to a case where it had previously written the deed for the sale of a different field to another person, and his wife did not give her consent to the sale. Subsequently, he made another sale to which she did consent. And in such circumstances, she cannot claim she waived her right in the second field only to please her husband. Because she did waive her, she did agree to do it in the first one. To now, we learned, creditors cannot collect from unencumbered property that had been sold. So they can't collect from property that was, it was encumbered to someone else. Where there are free property still in other debtor's possession, and even if it's free properties. For example, a man lends somebody some money and he has Shubad, he has property that he takes for security. He can only take from Zaburia. Beinus, that's the middle one. And that's what it is. In other words, if you lend me money, you can only take from my middle one, my middle property. I have three. There's three levels of properties: Idius, Beinus, and Zaburius. Idius is the best, Beinus is the middle, and Zaburius is the first one. So if there's nothing else to take, then he'll take from Zaburius. But once it's committed to that property, that he can't take it. There's once in the Shubad that he can only take from the free one. We're talking about a creditor for either he did some business with him or he lent him money. And by rights, a lender should have only been able to take it from Zaburius, the worst kind. But the reason that the Torah says that a lender gets rights to the middle one is so shelo tilla dennis b'fleilov, and so they'll lend money. If you say that a person who lends money can only take from the worst property, that'll close the door for people to lend other people money. Zaburius is the worst kind. So in other words, you lend people money, know that you're going to get it back. So the idiot, the best kind, the Torah doesn't give you. They'll only give you the middle kind. And why don't they give you the worst kind? Why don't they say you have to take the worst kind? So people would lend people money. If it's the worst kind, nobody's going to want to buy.
Otherwise they would never lend.
They would never lend. Yeah, in the swampland.
Okay.
Or yeah, that's what they were. Yeah.
In Lancaster.
Fortunately, I came right after that.
You missed it.
The Palmdale, right? Did you? How many guys got sucked into that?
A few minyonim worth.
From the chevra, from the in Beis Yehuda on the
Isaacson show.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, the front beam. Yeah.
It reminds me of the guy. I was thinking the other day about this guy because I think his wife had died. Remember Yellow Online? Remember that?
Yeah. Right.
So the guy, the wife, I think, passed away. Franco or something.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah. So, but whatever happened to that guy? I think he moved to Israel or something, huh?
He ran away.
He ran away. Yeah.
He ran away. Yeah. They all run away.
Isn't that how many? My goodness. Yellow Online. He had the rights in, I think, Nigeria or something, or someplace in Africa or something. I guess people got so gullible. They got so excited. Yellow Online was such a,
Yeah, it's too good to be true.
Too good to be true, yeah. Oh, well. I guess it's a sucker born every day.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. So the Gemara, it says, Ishtarof ben Chor, if free parties become ruined after the other party had been sold, my deliftuf mishtabeh, what is the law to respect the creditor collecting from the encumbered properties? In other words, if he's encumbered to the one piece of property, and that property got ruined, let's say it was a flood or something, so he's a lender. So what does he do? How does he get his money back? So how could he get his money back? So the Gemara trying to answer that question. Tashma, kosa the rishon v'lo chasmo. If Uzzah wrote a document selling one of his fields to the first buyer, and his wife did not sign for him an agreement, l'sheni v'chasmo, and he wrote the document for the second one, and the wife signed for him, like we said before, ibda ksuba. She has lost her ksuba. There's no free field from which to collect because she no longer can collect her ksuba from either the buyers. Give her a mayor. If you think that when the free properties become ruined, Torah from Mishtabde, the creditor can go and collect for the encumbered properties that were sold. Then granted that she has lost the right to collect the ksuba for the second buyer by signing the document, to let her go and collect from the first buyer for the field that has been left for her to collect. Became ruined to her when she lost right to collect it. So thus a lien remains on the field that was sold even when the free field was left behind. Now that she can no longer collect from the free field, she should be able to go back to the sold field and collect. So we say no, Rab Nachman, Yisra, my ibda. What does it mean when she has lost her ksuba? Ibda misheni. She has lost her right to collect for the second buyer because she signed away on it. She agreed to sign on it, but she still can collect from the first buyer. The more objects to this interpretation, Rama Ravish state chuvas bador. There are two objections. Chada the ibda lagami mashma. First, she has lost sight. She has lost the ksuba place. She has lost it completely. And furthermore, Bryce has taught lavo mino echad. If one borrowed from one creditor, and then he sold his property to two people, because of bachov v'lokeach sheni, and the creditor wrote to the second buyer, and din devorim eliach. Well, I have neither claim nor argument against you. Elo lokeach rishon klum. He has no right. He has no right at all against the first buyer. Because the first buyer can say to the creditor, I left you a place from which you collect. Thus you have no claim against you. By the same token, we learn from the Bryce that a woman who relinquished the right to collect ksuba from the second buyer cannot then go and collect it from the first buyer. Because the first buyer says you could have collected from the second one, and since you gave away your rights to the second one, since you gave it away, you can't come back and collect it from me. It's thus clear that the Bryce that states she has lost it, so it means she has lost it entirely. Nevertheless, Rava continues, we cannot conclude from either of these Bryces when a debtor's free property comes ruined, the creditor cannot collect from sold property for the following reason. There he brought a loss upon himself with his own hands by relinquishing his right to collect it from the second buyer. This does not prove that the same would hold true when their free property becomes ruined on his own. We still have the same problem. So both in the case of the lender and the woman collecting ksuba, the reason they cannot collect from the field from which we're supposed to collect it because they relinquished their right to the collecting. Therefore, they cannot impose on the first buyer who left them a place for which to collect. He left them to the second property, but she gave it up. It follows after the discussion that the Gemara questions does not only apply to cases where the free field was physically ruined, it also applies to cases where the free field was put beyond the reach of the creditor through no fault of theirs. For example, where robbers took over the field. So the result, so The Gemara resolves to inquire from another direction. But it is everyday occurrence that judges allow a creditor to collect from sold property when the free property became ruined. I guess the Chacham made a special halacha that day. That's what they do. Ahu gavra demishkan le pardisa lechaver les mishin. There was a certain person who borrowed money and pledged a vineyard to his friend for 10 years. So under the terms of the arrangement, the lender was to take the produce of the vineyard for 10 years as payment for the debt. Every year, we divide the 10 years, and every year makes a payment towards the debt. But it dried up after 5 years. The vines dried up. So to compensate him for his loss of the 5 years worth of production, the lender now wanted to collect property that had been free from the time of the loan, but have subsequently been sold. And he came before the Chachamim, and they wrote a document of collection for even they believe to collect from the buyers. Thus, we see that when free property becomes ruined, the vines dried out, the lender could come and collect from encumbered property that was sold. More response to this example. So, there too, the buyers of encumbered property caused their own loss. Since they knew that a vineyard is subject to aging, in which case the creditor would turn to them for payment, he should not have bought it. But perhaps in a case where the free property becomes unexpectedly ruined, the creditor cannot collect from sold properties.
But there's no risk. For instance, he had no idea that the vineyard was going to dry up after 5 years.
But he should have. It says here he should have known. He should have known. He said there. He says that he should have known there's a possibility of a drying up.
All right.
Yeah. That's what it says. It says there too the buyers caused their own loss because he should have known that it's going to dry up. It's got a possibility of drying up. So he says here, the vineyards commonly wither. Therefore, anyone who purchased land from the borrower after he had given over his vineyard to the lender for guarantee knew that the vineyard wither, the lender would come to collect the land. So the Gemara demonstrates this point that where the creditor is at fault, he cannot collect from the sold property, and where the buyer should have anticipated the possible loss, the creditor can collect from and where the buyer should have anticipated the possible loss, the creditor can come and collect the sold property. The more there are now rules regard to obviously no one was at fault. Obviously, the debt remains in all cases if the creditor cannot collect from the sold property. Thus, if the borrower acquires new assets, the creditor will collect from him. The law is that free property becomes ruined. The creditor can collect from encumbered property that was sold. Even in cases where the ruin was not anticipated, as long as the creditor was not himself the cause of the inability to collect their free property, he can collect. The more starts a pair of related rulings about Baya that will lead to the discussion I mentioned. Or Baya. If someone says to her, my property should go to you, and after your death, it's to so-and-so. And she proceeded to get married and then died. So her husband is considered a buyer of her property, and the person designated as after you, therefore has no face in the husband's purchase of the property. Because in the interim, since she got married, so her husband becomes like the buyer of it. And so even though the woman designated that it should go to a third person, but that's only if she didn't get married. When she got married, then her husband becomes like the lokeach, the buyer.
Okay.
It's like the rabbi should act an usha that if a woman sells her real property while she's married and then dies, the husband can take the property away for the buyer. The essence of this act was to render the husband who received the produce of the wife's malug while she's alive, in any case, the first buyer of the body of her property. Thus, takes effect at the time of her death retroactively to the time of the marriage. Since the husband and the woman purchased her property before she died, there's nothing of the gift left in her possession to be passed on to the person designated to receive it after her death. And that's one of the conditions of the Torah, that gives the husband the nichse malug. The whatever comes out from the field belongs to him.
Yeah,
they're married.
Usufruct, right.
Right. So come on, who's this like? Ki haitana, the Tanya we learned the Brisa, nechosai lech v'achvechel ploni. My property should go to you, and after you to so and so. You're an original macher. If the first beneficiary went down and sold the property, Asheni motzim yad lakochas. The second beneficiary can extract the property from the buyers of the first one. Div Rebbe. So, which means he says that he only, if somebody gives property to some person, and then he says after you go, it goes to another person, they only have their evidently, they only have a right to use it while they're still living. They have no right to sell it because it's going to go to the next person after that person dies. That's what Rebbe said. Rebbe Shimon says, Ein l'sheni elamash yeshia rishon. The second beneficiary has the right to receive only what the first left. Since the first beneficiary sold the property before he died, there's nothing left for the second beneficiary to receive it. So Abaye ruling thus follows the view of Shem Ben Gamliel, who that a person designated after you can only receive the property if he's still in the possession of the first beneficiary at the time of the death. And since at the time of the death, the first person sold it already, so there's nothing remaining for the second person. Understand?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. It's really interesting to say. Well, what did he have in mind when he said to this person, I'm giving you this property after I die, and after you die, goes to the next property. So did he have in mind that person can do anything he wants with it? So evidently that's what the machlokas is. One says he only a limited gift. It's a gift only as long as that person's living.
Exactly. Otherwise, you have no control.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's like a person dies. He still actually he still has. He can determine what his what his money will go to, because if he can designate it to go here, and after that person dies, go to another person, and so forth. So according to Ahmad Yomar, he really has control of after his death and whatever happens. Usually when a person dies, they give it to a person, and that's it. That person does whatever he wants with it. We're not talking about, I don't think we're talking about Yorshim, because that's, I think, a different story. This is just a third party, right? Yeah.
Third party, yeah.
So, Umiyomar Abai Hachi, did Abai really say this? Eza Russia, or who is a person describing as a kind of evildoer? The one who counts as the first beneficiary of the type of gift to sell the property he received. According to the Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, who ruled that such a sale is valid. If so, why would Abai himself formulate a ruling publicized in the view of Shimon ben Gamliel? Me kommer to say, Abai said that they should marry, that she should get married. This is Kamar. He said to me that if she married, the husband acquires the rights to the property. In other words, he just give you an eitzah, not to tell you that he should get married in order to save the property from going to someone else. That's like a woman.
Right.
He didn't tell them as an eitzah how to save the property. He just said if they did get married, then he the husband acquires the rights to the property, and the third party does not get anything. Amar Abaya, if my property should go to you, and after you, so and so, and she sold the property and then died, that's what this is. Abaya says that they take it out of the hand of the buyers. And when designated after can take it from the hands of the husband. And the buyer can take it from the hands of the one designated after you.
It's very messy.
Yeah, right. We leave all the property in the hands of the buyer.
Very messy.
Yeah, yeah. Why is it? By the way, I just a few hours ago I had a new great granddaughter.
Oh, Mazel Tov. Where?
Yeah, in New York, my daughter Smilo, Smilo's daughter had another baby, her fourth child, and so a girl. This is they live in Brooklyn, yeah, and Yontif, my daughter that lives in Israel, she had her first child, boy. So I had two in 1 week,
Yeah, amazing. So, and you still kept your figure. And you still kept your figure.
Yeah, not my money, but my figure, maybe. Yeah. So my uncle used to say, at this stage of life, jetzt darf ankommen zu Kinder, You know what that means in Yiddish? You come on your children to have it, Yeah, yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
Baruch Hashem, yeah. By the way, Ernie left today. He took the El Al flight.
Yeah, but the funeral is going to be tomorrow. It's at night in Israel. They're burying her at night.
Yeah, that's when they get it.
It's going to be, I think, at noon Friday. There's an email. I'll forward it to you.
No, Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night's the
Thursday night, and then he's staying over Shabbos, right? He's probably staying.
I think so. He's not sitting until Wednesday. He's coming.
So he's staying.
He's coming back Tuesday night.
Yeah, he's staying back over the whole Yontif, over Shmini Atzeres too. Yeah, he's staying there. I'm sure staying by his son, probably. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Yeah. He has 3 kids there now. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, amazing. She, I knew her a little bit, not like you. You grew up with them because you knew.
Oh, I knew her for over 50 years. She did an amazing job.
I can imagine. I know 55 years raising children by herself, and
it was her and her mother. Her mother lived with her. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was she in the hospital the last few days or what?
I don't think so. Not that I heard of.
So she's by herself.
Not that I heard of.
Was she by herself in the house?
Well, she had the keeper. She had people with her. Always, yeah. There's always somebody there. Yeah.
So when did Ernie find out about it? I guess because he died the first day Yontif. I guess he said, right?
Well, he was in the valley. For
Yontif. I see. So
somebody must have given him some kind of notice somehow or other. I don't know.
Yeah. So they took her right to the airport, I guess, this morning, huh?
Yeah, from San Francisco. No, the United flight. Yeah.
Oh, they didn't take the El Al. I see. Oh.
No, she went on the United flight.
So that leaves at what time? No, at least in the afternoon.
I don't.
Yeah, and then they change planes in the afternoon, and then so probably. I think it leaves around. I think it leaves about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they get there tomorrow night. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they said there's 2 hours from when she lands until the funeral.
Oh, yeah. Is she going to go in Harmanuchas? You think
I don't
know. Okay. Yeah. I guess her sister flew in today too, probably, huh?
Yeah, I didn't realize her sister was still alive. I didn't realize.
No. I mean, Ernie's sister.
No, but even she had a sister. She has a sister that's alive.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. Wow.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Well, Wow. Okay.
That's true. Yeah.
So, and the Gemara says, what's the case different from what you learned in the Mishnah? They go around in circles until they reach a compromise among themselves. So, there in the Mishnah, they all stand to suffer loss. Here is the buyer alone who suffers. He does not receive the property. So in the case of the Mishnah, two women who owe ksuba, while the buyer spent money to buy the property, each of the parties therefore stands to suffer loss. He does not collect. But in Abaya's case, the husband and the one designated after were neither owed, they spend the money to purchase. Only the buyer spent money on it, and the loan stands to lose. Therefore, the court does not intercede to take the property from him. Now, this is true that the court does initially take the property to give it to the husband, as Abai explained. That's because the buyer at the point was claiming that the strength of the purchase of his wife and the husband is by law considered the first buyer of the wife's property. Thus, the court must honor the husband's claim and take the property from the buyer despite his loss. When the property comes back to the buyer, however, it comes to him from one after you, from who the husband has no right to take it. The court therefore does not intervene at the point to help the husband take it back from the buyer. So we see, by the case of the Mishnah, where the women are losing their ksuba, so they lose the ksuba plus the buyer. So everybody's losing. But by here, all this is like a gift. So nobody's really actually losing out of pocket money. It's just that you're denied the gift.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So also Rafram Omer Lishmaita Kevin Rabashi. Rafram went and he said the rule before Rabashi. He says, "Mio Rabbi Hochi." Did Rabbi actually say this? That one designated after you take the property of the husband. Omer Rabbi, if someone says, "Well, my property should go to you," and after you, so and so, and then she gets married. Her husband is considered a buyer. And the person designated after you therefore has nothing in face the husband's purchase the property. How then could a buyer say that the person designated after you takes it away from the husband? So Mor says, Asam Domerle Kishihi Kanuya. The benefactor said to her, my property should go to you after you, so and so, when she was unmarried. But here in the second word, he said to her when she was already married. So Michael, therefore, what was he telling her? Clearly meant that one after you should acquire it from you, and your husband should not acquire it. Therefore, the one after you can take it away from the husband. In other words, the one who would she meant to say when he gave it to her, he said, "I only want you. I don't want your husband to have it."
Right.
So yeah. Therefore the buyer, the one after you can take it away, even though your husband took it from you, because I didn't give it to you to give to your husband. I just gave it to you. Yeah. So with the creditors, with the woman collecting her ksuba, same thing. So is with a creditor and two buyers. So is with a woman creditor and two buyers. This is the same as the previous, except that instead of Reuven seeking payment from Shimon for loan, he made him a wife who seeking payment for the ksuba owed to her. Okay. All right. So we'll stop here.
All right. Hydrolach.
Okay. So we'll start tomorrow.
Okay. Excellent. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
At 8 o'clock.
Okay.
8 o'clock.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay. Good night. Oh, tonight, this is-
Yes,
is
sir.
it your radar? Where's
Thank
that? Where?
Pico and Doheny?
Oh, really? It's a Chabad thing?
Mhm.
Oh, very nice. Who, all the boys went?
I think so.
Why?
I think so.
Huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, boy. Was he dressed warm enough?
No.
It's cold out.
Shit, I'll shut it quickly. Maybe I'll wait. I'll use your phone quickly. My phone's upstairs.
Oh, you're fine.
Because that might have been him just leaving right now. Phone? This one?